Hello, parents and students. Thank you for joining me. This is our Irvington Community Elementary School virtual orientation for the fall of 2020. I'm glad that you could join me for this video presentation. You will have the ability throughout to pause and be able to take a closer look at any of the slides that I present, jot down any information that's necessary, and of course, rewatch this as many times as you need to draw attention to specific areas. There's a lot of information to share. I know that you have a lot of questions, and so I will try to be as thorough as possible while also being mindful of your time. I would appreciate if you are able to watch this entire video, as there's a lot of really important information and I don't want you to miss out on anything. Just like many of you, I'm so excited to be coming back to school and being able to see our students face to face. I have missed them so much, just as I'm certain that our teachers have as well. But on the same token, we understand the anxiety and the nervousness that comes with coming back to school. So we've got a really solid plan in place with lots of safety protocols. And so we're going to go through all of those with you today, parents. If you, after watching this video, still have questions or concerns, of course, reach out to me by email and by phone or text. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in just a second here, and then I will give you a glimpse of how you can get in touch with me in case you're not certain. All right, so at this time, you should hopefully see my screen with my presentation, my cute little pencils here. Whoops. So on this first page here, you can see my contact information. You can email me at ddaner@icescharter.org. I also have a Google Voice account. You can call or text me on that number. I promise to respond to you through either of those avenues within one business day. So, first and foremost, I know that you have lots of questions and concerns about safety, and we have been spending an awful lot of time this summer planning for the best safety protocols that we possibly can. So, the three most important things are masks, temperature taking, and social distancing. There will be more on the next slide, but I want to really highlight these. First of all, masks are required by everyone, adults and students, anytime that they are within 6 feet of another individual or if they're in any sort of common areas. We are providing lanyards that are like those little glasses string holders, so that students can clip their mask there. They don't have to lose it, set it down somewhere, risk losing it, or putting it touching it too much, excuse me. So I have had some questions from parents asking if there will be times during the day that students will be able to take their masks off. I understand your concerns about students wearing masks every day. First of all, I would say try to get them a little bit used to it now, have them practice wearing a mask now so that it's not so foreign when it is time to come back to school. But yes, there will be times during the day that they're allowed to take their masks off, during PE and recess in particular, when they're outdoors, when they're exerting physical energy, and if they're working alone at their desk and at least 6 feet away from someone else. Their teacher will let them know when it's time that they can take their masks off. But anytime that they're in a small group, they're moving about the classroom, moving about the building within 6 feet of another person, they do need to be wearing a mask. Temperature taking, we know how important this is, but parents, if you can imagine the undertaking that it would be to take 225 student temperatures and 50 staff temperatures every single day. So we need your help with this. We need you to make it a part of your morning routine that you check your child's temperature at home. If you don't have a thermometer at home, we'll provide one for you. Just let us know and we'll make sure that you have one. If your child has a fever of 100 degrees or more, please don't send them to school, and please don't give them medication to cover the fever and then send them to school. This year, we need you to keep your student home for 3 full days if they have a fever. Now, with our hybrid model schedule, that actually works out pretty well. Let's say your student wakes up on Monday morning and has a fever and you keep them home. If they then are fever-free from Monday morning to Thursday morning, that's 3 days, that's 72 hours. If that fever has gone away and has stayed away for 3 full days, then they may return to school. Again, that is fever-free without the assistance of medication. The same is true if your student is sent home with a fever. Of course, we do still have our school nurse who will be taking temperatures as needed throughout the day. If your student is sent home with a fever, they must stay home for 72 hours. And the next really important part of our plan has to do with social distancing. Our teachers have been in the school this week working on getting their rooms set up to spread their desks 6 feet apart. We are making sure that we have tape in the hallways and in other common areas to mark the 6 feet line where students should stay apart. That includes our gym. We will make sure that we are staggering our release from the gym in the mornings instead of this mad rush of students heading to their classrooms. We also know that sometimes that gym can get pretty full first thing in the morning, and we know the maximum capacity of that gym. If it becomes too full, we will go ahead and release students to their classrooms before 7:45 so that we can maintain that social distancing. We will spread out at dismissal time. Parents, we need you to stay in or near your vehicle. I know that you enjoy congregating on the benches or in the field and talking to other parents, but unfortunately, that has to be on hold for a little while. And then finally, we will not be accepting visitors and volunteers in our building. I know that so many of you like to come for lunch or like to volunteer in the classroom, and we are so appreciative of you being our community partners like that. But again, that has to be on hold for now. We will be changing our procedures for parents picking up early for an appointment. You will not be able to come in the building. You will pull up to the front office doors in your car. You will call us, provide us with your 4-digit PIN, and we will bring your student out to you. There will be more about dismissal procedures coming up in a future slide, so stay tuned and don't stop watching now. There's more about safety. We are making sure to limit as much as possible the commingling of groups. So students mostly only interact with the students within their classroom, within their cohort, that small group that's approximately half a size. That means that we're not able to do our buddy class meetings for now. We really will miss those. But right now, our buddy classes aren't going to be able to get together. Recess and PE will only be with your own group. They will not be mixed as they have been in the past. We'll be having lunch in the classrooms, and I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. And then intervention groups will only be with students from one class at a time. So in the past, our interventionists have pulled a couple students from this class or this class and met with them together. For now, they're just going to be meeting with students from one class at a time so that they're not mingling and sharing germs with each other. So back to lunch, a couple of questions have come up in the last couple of weeks about lunch. So some really important things. First of all, free and reduced lunch status does not carry over from year to year. If you qualified for free and reduced lunch last year, you have to reapply this year. So you need to go to lunchapp.com and fill out that application. Also, yes, you can bring your own lunch. You can pack a lunch or you can order a school lunch. If you order a school lunch, that'll be delivered to your student in their classroom, and a monitor will be watching them while they eat. If you opt to send a packed lunch, please be sure that your student can open everything in their lunch on their own. We know that those little fingers don't quite have that dexterity yet, and sometimes they need a little assistance opening things, but just keep in mind, every time they need to have an adult open something for them, that's another exposure to someone else's touch and germs. Of course, we're taking every precaution with hand washing and such. We just want to limit that as much as possible. We used to have a peanut-free table in our lunchroom for our students who have peanut allergies and need to be far away from any peanut smells or touches or oils. Because we'll be eating in the classroom this year, we're not able to do that. So it is possible that we will ask you to please not send any peanut products in your child's lunchbox if it so happens that a child with a peanut allergy is in their classroom. We certainly do appreciate your cooperation with that for the safety of all of our students in a variety of ways. And then cleaning, lots and lots of cleaning, of course. Our cleaning crew has had hours added for their weekly time. They will be doing additional cleaning of every touchable surface, student supplies, desks, anything that is shared. We have disinfectant wipes, a UV light machine, a disinfectant Clorox machine that can disinfect an entire room at once. So we have lots of things in place for extra cleaning. We will be doing deep cleaning on those Wednesdays when we don't have students in school, as well as the weekends, and then as needed throughout the week as well. As I already mentioned, we'll be limiting shared materials, and we've given ourselves longer transition times between our PE and cultures classes so that any materials that do end up being shared, that those teachers have time for cleaning and disinfecting or rotating a new set of materials out for a new group of students, and so on and so forth. And then a few other little things that have to do with safety. So, our water fountains will only be open for refilling of water bottles. So, parents, you need to send a transparent water bottle to school with your student. We prefer, for the sake of the environment, that that is a reusable water bottle, but it is okay if it is disposable. And we will be limiting the number of students in the restroom at a time. Our teachers know that that means longer restroom breaks, and we've accounted for that. We're putting up barriers between the sinks so that students, as they're standing side by side and washing hands, that they have a barrier between them. We'll be taking frequent hand washing breaks in addition to hand sanitizing stations and pumps throughout our school. We've had a handful of parents asking about making sure that we're having hand washing, not just hand sanitizing. Yes, we are. We are having both. And then we've created a special isolation room in case we have any students who or adults who are suspected of having COVID-19. We have a separate isolation room from them, separate from our traditional nurse's office, so that other students can still visit the nurse's office for scrapes and bruises and things along those lines. So let's talk a little bit about attendance. So we will be taking attendance every single day, face to face and e learning. When your student is doing e learning, we will count them present if they complete one e learning assignment for the day. This is a change from spring of 2020. In the spring, we counted students present if they showed up for at least one of their live session Google Meets, or they did even just a little bit of work. We unfortunately had some students who were doing just the bare minimum. They were logging in for a minute, saying hi, counting themselves as present, and then doing no work. Sorry, guys, that's not going to work anymore. You have to actually complete your work to be counted present. We will be taking attendance for e-learning at 3:30 every day. That's when our teachers have office hours. So by 3:30, students, you need to have completed something so that your teacher can see that you were engaged in e-learning that day. Parents, if you're a little worried because your work schedule means that your students aren't going to be doing e-learning until the evening, don't panic. Your student will get marked absent at 3:30 when the teacher hasn't heard from them yet, but then the next day when they check back in and they see that that student has now turned in the previous day's work, they will change their attendance code. So don't panic if you can't get your students e-learning done until the evening. We will make sure that that happens. We'll talk in just a minute about the guidance on what happens if we have a positive case. I know that you have lots of questions about that. We are not doing any rewards for perfect attendance this year. We don't want to set up anything that encourages you to send your kid to school when they are not well. So don't try to just plow through it when your student is sick for the sake of that certificate. No more perfect attendance rewards. As has always been the case, please notify your teacher or the front office if your student is going to be absent. And we always appreciate documentation that you've seen a doctor or even had a virtual consult with the doctor. If you would like to have them fax us documentation of that, we'd be happy to accept that sent to us, even if you didn't see the doctor in person, live, face to face. I already mentioned that you have to be fever free for 72 hours before coming back to school. That is a change from previous. And routine appointments such as dentist and eye appointments and well checks, we really appreciate if you try to schedule those on your students' e-learning days. We get such a limited amount of time with your student face to face this year that we really just don't want to sacrifice any of that learning time for appointments that could have occurred on their e-learning day. So please try to make every effort to do that. So I know you have a lot of questions about what will happen if there is a suspected case of COVID-19 in our school. Please know that we are paying very close attention to the guidance from the CDC as well as the Marion County Health Department. So the guidance is that if someone tests positive and displays symptoms, that they cannot return to school. This is an adult or a student. They cannot return to school until they have 10 days have passed since their first symptom appeared, and 3 days have passed since their last symptom appeared. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize this. Our school nurse has it all under control. If someone tests positive but doesn't have any symptoms, they need to wait 10 days after their positive test and make sure that no symptoms have developed. There is the possibility that someone would show symptoms, be presumed positive, but never have had a test for some reason. Similarly, you have to wait 10 days until your first symptoms have appeared and 3 days since your symptoms disappeared to come back. We will report every single suspected case of COVID-19 to our community health nurse, who will then report that to the Marion County Health Department. They will assist us with any contact tracing, any guidance we need on notifications, any guidance on closures, etc. The same is true if someone in your household has been diagnosed with COVID-19. Call our office, we will connect you with our nurse, and she will provide you with next steps, and we will contact the health department as well. All of our staff are receiving very detailed training from our partners at Community Health next week when we have back to school orientation. So they'll know what symptoms to look for, safety precautions, all of those things. So this part is really important both for parents and students. So we learned a lot of lessons when we had e-learning in the spring. We had to pull something together really quickly, just like every school in the country did. And we were pretty proud of what we were able to pull together with very short notice. But we learned some lessons about them, some things that we could do even better. So we'll be talking about that for these next few slides. So a couple of expectations for our students. We really didn't get a chance to lay this out for you when we did e-learning before because we just didn't know and we didn't have time. We just closed suddenly. So here we go. First of all, students, you need to show up for your live sessions. Those sessions are really important opportunities for an instructional assistant or for your teacher to provide you with some direct instruction. Now, I'm not talking about office hours. Office hours are for if you need help, it's a time for you to check in with your teacher and ask questions. That's optional. That's as needed. I'm talking about if you were assigned to a small group with your teacher or an instructional assistant, you need to make every effort to show up. And when you do show up for a Google Meet, you need to be dressed appropriately. Please don't come in your pajamas or some spaghetti strap shirt or with a blanket over your head or shirtless for the boys. Please don't come to a group like that. We are not expecting you to dress in your school uniform, but we do expect you to take it at least a little bit more seriously than we saw sometimes last time. We also need you to sit up. We need you to be at a table or at least somewhere that you can sit up. Please don't join your Google Meet laying on the couch or walking around your house and giving us a tour and showing us your dog. I know that it's new and exciting, but we really need to focus on our learning and not getting so distracted by everything around us. Parents, it's really helpful if you can dedicate a space in your home that your student can sit down and focus during e-learning, that they're not going to have all these distractions happening around them or somebody walking behind them still in their pajamas or things like that. It would be really helpful if you can get your student a set of headphones that will help to block out some of that background noise and help them hear the video lessons a little better. Now let's talk about the acceptable use policy. That's what AUP means. I want to make sure parents and students that you know that we're sending home our Chromebooks with you. Every single student will be using a school Chromebook so that you can log on to our network. There are some things that we learned you didn't have access to properly if you weren't on our network. So we're going to make sure we fix that this time. But know that being on our Chromebook and being on our network means we can see everything that you're doing on your computer. That means if you're doing a Google search or something like that or going to an inappropriate website, we will know about it. And we will have an uncomfortable conversation with you, parents and students alike. So please make sure that you are using your school computer for school work. There will be consequences, and we would hate to have to take that computer away from you when you'll be relying so heavily on it for e-learning. We will know if you have plagiarized. That means copying. If you went to Wikipedia or something and you copied and pasted something into your report, we will know it. We will find it. You will get a 0. So please don't do that. And then finally, this is very rare, but unfortunately it needs to be said. Parents, we know you want your students to do their absolute best at school. And we know that when you're at home helping them, it can be tempting to help a little too much. So please make sure that your students' work reflects what they really can do. Because if it doesn't, we don't know how to help them. If we don't know what they really don't understand, we don't know how to help them understand it better. So please, parents, make sure that your students' work is their actual work. Now let's talk about dress code. The biggest change in dress code this year is you need a mask every single day. And you can wear a mask that has graphics on it, has words, has designs. That's fine. Just make sure that it doesn't have anything offensive. As usual, students will wear a red, white, or navy blue polo style top. They'll wear khaki or navy blue pants, shorts, or skirts. Of course, those need to be appropriate fit and length. So, no super tight clothes, no legging style pants. Shorts and skirts can't be any more than 2 inches above your knee. Don't forget, third through fifth graders, if your bottoms have belt loops, they need to have a belt. I noticed I have a spelling error on there. Sorry about that. Belts if you have belt loops. Don't forget, we have PE and recess every day. That means you need tennis shoes every day. You might as well just go ahead and wear tennis shoes to school because otherwise it's just a pain to have to change your shoes for PE and recess. Also, if you're wearing a skirt, please wear shorts underneath so that you are properly covered when you have PE and recess. A couple of things that we tend to see in our upper grades: we don't allow makeup, we don't allow fake nails, we don't allow unnatural hair colors. What I mean by that is if you want to dye your hair blonde, that's fine. You want to dye your hair brown, that's fine. You want to dye your hair any color that is a naturally occurring color, even if it's not your naturally occurring color, that's fine. You want to dye your hair blue? Mm-mm. We're not having the wild colors like the blues and the greens and all of that. On your shoes, no wheelies, no distracting lights. I know sometimes in kindergarten, first grade, they have the little light that just blinks every time they take a step. That's fine. What we don't want is those shoes that you flip some sort of switch and the whole bottom of the shoe lights up. We don't need that at school. Also, spirit wear. It used to be that on Fridays, students wore their regular uniform bottoms and a spirit shirt, an Irvington shirt, a Ravens shirt, something like that. You can still do that. For cohort 2, that's still on Fridays. Cohort 1, you don't come to school on Fridays. That means you get to do that on Thursdays. So spirit wear shirt with uniform bottoms are okay on Thursdays and Fridays. Doesn't mean you have to wear that. It means you can. If you're interested in purchasing a shirt, we have them for very reasonable prices at our front office in a variety of sizes. And finally, parents, this is a reminder, please don't send electronics to school except for, of course, the Chromebooks, because we just don't have a place to keep them safe. Our students don't have lockers that lock. They have cubbies where they keep their materials in the younger grades. So please don't send phones, Game Boys, those kinds of things to school with your student. Supplies. We have some great news for you, parents. You probably have already heard. We have been very fortunate enough to have some grant money this year to supply some things for our families. One of those things is that we are providing your school supplies for you. Pencils, pens, paper, folder, all of those types of things. You don't need to go shopping for that. We have a box for every single student. It includes one of those plastic art boxes so everybody can have their own materials. We've got you covered. The only exception to that is you do need to purchase your own headphones, and they do need to have headphones at school. You might want to get a pair that's, $5 or so, not super expensive. Have a pair for school, have a pair for home if you think your student might struggle with taking it back and forth, because while they're at school, there will be some activities on the computers, especially when they have technology class, where they're going to need headphones. The activity makes sound and everybody around you doesn't want to hear it. So please make sure, parents, that your students bring headphones to school every day. I would hate for your student to miss out on technology class because they don't have headphones. Students, you know that Mrs. Gibson won't let you participate in technology class without those headphones. Parents, we also have another fortunate thing for you this year, that is, we're not charging any textbook or technology fees. That's for this year only. We're waiving those fees that you normally pay at the beginning of the school year, and that is because we know how difficult these times are financially for so many families right now. Some are out of work or working less, and so we just don't want to add one more burden to you. A reminder, though, don't forget, you do still need to apply for free and reduced lunch if you think you qualify. If you owe a technology or textbook balance from last year, this might be the time to catch up on that. You can contact our finance office on making arrangements for that. I already mentioned about sending a water bottle to school. Please make it transparent so that we can see what's in it. And also, there are some things that we'll be sending home for your student to use while they're doing e-learning. Quick little review of the schedule. We've already established that group 1, you're going to come to school on Monday and Thursday. The other 3 days you'll be doing e-learning. Group 2, you'll come to school on Tuesday and Friday. The other 3 days you'll be doing e-learning. While we're in school, we have YMCA before care from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Parents, you do need to register for that, and there is a fee, but it is on a sliding scale based on how often you use it, as well as your income. This is completely separate from the daycare option that the YMCA is trying to offer on the days you have e-learning. This is something totally different. Our gym doors open at 7:30 a.m. for students who are not in YMCA care, and then we send the students to class at 7:45. We already talked about that. 8 o'clock. If you arrive after 8 o'clock, you are late. Parents, you know what traffic can be like in the mornings. Now, thankfully, we'll have half as many cars for a while, but leave your house with a couple extra minutes to spare. Don't get frustrated because you pulled up to our intersection at 7:58 and then couldn't get in by 8 o'clock. There could be a log jam of traffic. Give yourself extra time to account for that. Then dismissal. We have already communicated this to you, but I want to reiterate it. There is one dismissal time this year, and that is at 3:15 for all students. We give you a 15-minute window because it takes about that long to get everybody out of our lot, but your student needs to be picked up or in aftercare by 3:30. Also, we've already talked about early pickups. We'll come back to that in a little bit here. But once we have cars who've started lining up for pickup, we won't be doing early releases. So it's just too hard to try to navigate people around the cars that are already parked and those sorts of things. So if you have to come pick your child up for an appointment, you really need to get there before 3 o'clock. You might be frustrated because we might tell you you have to wait and that we're not going to be able to release your child early. We will have office hours with an instructional assistant each morning for every grade level and with the teachers every afternoon at 3:30. Remember, office hours are your chance to check in, ask questions. I don't understand this. Can we go back over this? Did I do this correctly? All of those things. And then, of course, we have YMCA aftercare. Again, that is separate from the daycare option that we sent out a survey about. This is something completely different. The YMCA aftercare happens at our school. There is a cost associated with it. You have to be signed up. The cost is based on how much you use it as well as your income. And I wanted to make sure that you know that we've been in contact with the YMCA. They have a variety of safety precautions in place. So they have social distancing, masking, hand washing, cleaning of surfaces, all of those things as well. I want to do a quick review of drop-off and pickup procedures, particularly for our new families, but returning families, don't skip over this part. There are some really important reminders here and maybe some things that you might be guilty of that you need a little reminder not to do that anymore. So let me go over this really quickly for you. Again, from 6:30 to 7:30 is YMCA only. They drop off in those doors by the gym. At 7:30, you can start dropping off any student at those doors by the gym. And then at 7:45, we open the other doors as well. This is really important. Once 7:45 hits, in that 7:45 to 8 o'clock range, you pull into the lot, please unload the first time your car comes to a stop. If your car pulls up at the 3-5 door and you have a younger student in your car and you don't let them out, you're just holding up traffic because then you're going to have to stop again when you get to the next door. Don't worry about your student not finding their class. We have lots of people who will help them find their class, and our school only has 2 hallways. We'll make sure they get there. So please unload the first time your car comes to a stop. And please, please, please don't leave any gaps in the line. So let's say the line has kept going, but you want to stop here because you like for your student to get out near this door. Well, now that's 3 or 4 cars that could have come in behind you, but you've stopped traffic and we have slowed things down. So please, please don't leave any gaps in the line. It's really important that students exit on the curb side only. Traffic does go around on the driver's side. If you have a car seat situation or something like that, you might want to rearrange that. If your student has trouble unbuckling their booster seat or their seat belt, or they have trouble getting the car door open, you might want to have them practice with that and make sure they can do that. We'll be out there to help, but we're also trying to maintain distance as much as possible as well. Now, I know this is going to upset some people, and I'm really sorry, but the only people who can walk their students to class on the first day of school are the parents of brand new students or kindergartners. I know parents that you love that tradition of walking your student to class on the first day. Unfortunately, we just can't do it this year. We have to limit how many people are in our building. For those of you who have a kindergartner or a new student, it's one adult with your one student. So please don't bring extra family members, don't bring younger siblings, and please make sure that you wear a mask. I'm really sorry if that causes a difficulty for some of you, but it is unfortunately just a precaution that we have to take to limit the number of people in our building right now. So again, really quickly, I'm going to go over pickup procedures. New returning families, you know most of this, but there are some things that are changing and perhaps some things to be reminded of. So I mentioned earlier about early pickups. So first of all, you should only pick up your child early from school if there's an emergency or they have an appointment. And again, please try to make those routine appointments to be on their e-learning days. When you come for an early pickup, please don't come in the building. You'll pull up to the front office door. You will call us. You will give us your 4-digit code. We will bring the student out to you. Once cars start lining up for pickup, we will not be allowing any early pickups. When you line up at the time for pickup, there will be cones outside to tell you where to stop. We line up with 2 lines side by side. Your car just pulls to a stop behind the car in front of you. We will also fill in the center lane. At 3:15, we will cut off traffic. Please follow the directions of our security guard who is at the intersection of Julian and Kitley. He is there to keep you and your students safe. We have had some unfortunate incidents of parents becoming belligerent with our security officers, and they are just trying to do their job and maintain safety. So please don't do that. So at 3:15, traffic will be cut off. You pull up at 3:16 to the intersection, he's not going to let you in. Don't get upset with him. He's going to send you to the lot across the street, and you can either wait there until traffic clears, or you can park your car and walk across to get your student. If you're parked down that straightaway, down Julian, and you're way down there and we can't really see your car when it's time for dismissal, you may exit your car and move to where your student can see you, because if you're way down there, they can't see you, and we're not going to send your student to you until we get a visual contact with you. So that's the only exception to what I said earlier about staying near your car. So once the students start to come out, the teachers will bring them out. They'll be spread out. We'll have adults out there making sure everyone is safe. No cars move while students are walking in the lot. It doesn't matter if you have your student, no cars move while students are walking in the lot. We will give an all clear. We will move the outside lane first, then the inside lane. Please don't dodge lanes. It's just rude. It's just unkind. All right. Now let's talk about e-learning. So we have decided that we're going to spend the little precious time that we have with your student face-to-face focusing mostly on math and language arts. We're basically going to do 4 days worth of reading and math instruction in 2 days. We will have some integrated science and social studies lessons. So for example, if we're learning about nonfiction text, we might read a passage for science, but for the most part, science and social studies will be done at home. We will still have cultures and PE. We will still have second step, which are our social emotional learning curriculum and character education. And we will still have support from our special education and Title I staff. At home, students will be assigned practice activities that will practice the skills that they learned at school. So maybe we have a math lesson on Monday. Tuesday e-learning is a follow-up to what was learned on Monday in e-learning. We really appreciate parents who read and practice math facts with your students on a regular basis. We'll even send home flashcards for you to use. There will be Google Meets. We talked about this earlier with office hours and small group sessions. There will be recorded lessons that the teachers have recorded for your student to watch, or science and social studies activities. Kindergarten to second graders, you don't need to worry about bringing your Chromebook back and forth to school. Anytime that you would be using a computer at school, we'll have a spare for you to use. And of course, we'll wipe it down and make sure that it gets transitioned properly before someone else uses it. 3rd through 5th grade, you are going to need your Chromebooks at school on a regular basis. So we need you to carry those in your backpack safely, and they need to be charged when they come back and forth to school. And of course, we will continue to have support from our special education and Title I team occurring while you're at home through those Google Meets and other sessions. Our kindergarten to second graders will be using standards-based grading. This means that you'll see a standard. A standard means what is the expectation for what a student can do. So it might be, for example, skip count by twos, fives, and tens. And you'll see on a report card whether your student is doing outstanding with that, they're mastering it, they're emerging, or they need improvement. So kindergarten to second grade, you'll see specific skills on the report card with outstanding, mastery, emerging, needs improvement. Third through fifth grade, you are still going to have traditional A through F letter grades. However, we have opted for first semester, there will not be any grades for cultures or PE or for science and social studies. I want to make sure that I emphasize this. That does not mean that we don't think that those things are important. We absolutely think they're important, which is why we're still doing them. What it means is we're just not going to have as much time to really dig deep into those in the way that we have in the past, and it just doesn't seem fair to assign grades. Parents, we got some feedback from you when we did e-learning before that maybe you were a little overwhelmed with e-learning and with the different websites that your students needed to access. So first of all, we'll be putting together some how-to videos for you. I will show you exactly how to log in, how to access these. We have something called Clever that's like a portal where all these other things are housed. So you really just open Clever. It's kind of like a folder almost. And inside Clever are all these other things that you use. Every single student in our building has a Google Classroom account, and that's going to be your most important go-to every day. That's where your teacher is going to provide a short bullet point agenda style list that says, today, this is what you need to do. They're going to be including what we call objectives with that. It just tells you the goal of what it is you're supposed to learn or be able to do by the time you've completed that activity. Helps to give some purpose to the activity. So kindergarten to second grade has a program called Seesaw, as well as a program called Freckle. Seesaw has some activities as well as some worksheets, record yourself talking about this, kind of submitting some activities. Freckle is a little more of the fun stuff, the game-like activities to practice a skill, those kinds of things. Third through fifth grade, you still have Study Island. If you're coming back to us, you're familiar with that. You're well aware of how that works. Lots of activities. There are also tests and assessments in Study Island that we can give. Lots of really great stuff in Study Island. And this year, we're adding a pilot program for second and third graders called Spelling City. Some of you have probably used the free version of this already, but we're going to try out the expanded version in second and third grade this year. So watch for more information on that. Parents, we know that we are asking a lot of you. We have always been a proud partner with our parents in education, but boy, are we asking even more of you this year, and we know it, and we want to support you in every way that we can. So first of all, our staff, they're there for you. They have Class Dojo, they have email, they have Google Voice accounts, they have lots of ways for you to get in touch with them. There shouldn't ever be an opportunity where you say, well, I haven't heard from the teacher, I can't get a hold of the teacher. There are ways to get a hold of your teacher. And the staff are expected to respond to your inquiries within one school day. They'll be providing you with a daily agenda style list of the tasks for e-learning, like I already mentioned. That'll be in Google Classroom. Parents, we really need you to partner with us in checking your students' work. We had just a few unfortunate incidents last year of students telling their parent, I turned it in, and they had not. Or saying they turned it in, but they turned in something blank, or they turned something in where they just guessed on all of the answers. So we really need you to take a look at what your student is turning in from e-learning and make sure that it really is meeting the expectations of what the teacher has asked them to do. It's really helpful, even when we're not in a hybrid model, for you to read with your student every day and practice flashcards. Those skills will just continue to build. We have office hours available at least twice a day. Remember, in the mornings with one of our instructional assistants and in the afternoons with our teachers. We'll make sure that you have all the information you need to log into those. I know some parents have had questions about support in the evenings. We are working on that. We know that that's a need. We are hoping to be able to hire like some college students who can provide tutoring in the evenings. We don't have that finalized for you yet, but we will get back to you as soon as we do. And I already mentioned that we'll be having some how-to videos coming out within about a week or so. We'll be demonstrating for you exactly how to log in, where to click, what needs to be done. So for parents who are feeling a little nervous about this e-learning thing, we'll help you out. Don't worry. And then finally, Unfortunately, we had to switch our orientation to a virtual event, but we're still here to answer your questions. We don't get to have our typical back to school night, but the teachers are recording greetings for you, and we'll be sending those out to you via YouTube links. We'll have those ready for you within about a week so that you and your student can watch it and see your teacher and get to know them. If you would like to request an individual Google Meet with your teacher, you can do that so that you can express any concerns or questions that you might have after you have watched their video. All of our teachers' email addresses are found on our website. So just go to the elementary page and look for staff. All their email addresses are there. Most of our staff members, their email address is first initial, last name, but that's not always the case depending on if we had duplicates. You can look in PowerSchool. You should have your PowerSchool login. You can look in PowerSchool. You can see who your student's teacher is. You can even get a link to their email address. If you're not sure how to log into PowerSchool, call Miss Jeremy at our front office and she can help you out with that. You can go ahead now and check in with your student's teacher via email as well. If you didn't yet figure out who your student's teacher is, or for some reason you didn't find out what cohort your student is in, just give me a call or send me an email. Remember, my contact information is there on that first page, and I'll be happy to answer that for you. So let me get back to my original page here. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, for sticking with me through all of this information. I know that it's a lot to take in, but it's all so, so important for you to know as we venture into this new school year. I am always here to answer your questions. You can email me anytime and I will get back to you in a timely manner. You can always call our front office, 317-357-5359, with your questions as well. Parents, we are looking forward to partnering with you. We know that this is going to be a challenging adventure, but we are confident in our ability to make the best of this situation and provide the best possible experience while maintaining safety for your student as well as our staff. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great evening.